What's up, people? Welcome to the MT-07 by Yamaha. It's a 2-cylinder 4-stroke 690cc. The seat height is 805mm, so it's quite a tall bike. And I've been quite excited about riding this thing for a long time, actually. It's about as close to the Street RRR, kind of spec-wise, as you're going to get without the triple engine, obviously. So, 2-cylinder in this thing, 2 giant pistons, firing their way up and down. So this bike sounds beautiful. This particular bike is running the Akrapovic can with the bung fitted, which is a bit of a shame, but it still sounds beautiful. You will hear it in all its glory very, very soon. Some of the criticisms I had about the MT-09 I still feel are present in this, and that's just kind of generally build quality wise. For the price, for what you get, amazing, can't really argue, but there's little things about it that just kind of irk me a little. I mean, this material on the side, I'm not sure, it's kind of scratchy, but just generally little things like this thing here. It's just, the fit isn't great. The fuel cap is the same. This wobbles around, this wobbles around. There's big gaps everywhere, here. This kind of faux carbon stuff, I'm not a huge fan of. I mean, it looks okay. I mean, I think in terms of just visuals generally, the bike is quite attractive. It's not the best looking thing I've ever seen, but for a naked, yeah, it's fine, man. I love this deep purple colour. It's kind of like a midnight purple. I love that colour to bits. Let's just skip over that stuff, because all the things that I've mentioned just there aren't really deal breakers. They're just minor things, man. Minor things. Because, yeah, okay, maybe there's some gaps in the panel work. It squeaks when you sit on it as well. It's kind of squeaky. So it kind of feels like the body bits aren't of like the best quality and stuff. But ultimately, as long as the engine performs well and it's reliable, and you know, the basic shit like fork seals and stuff, as long as the main mechanical components are well put together, then I would totally forgive it for the other stuff. It's not that important. But let's start her up, shall we, and get going. Awesome little startup sequence. As before though, I absolutely hate digital tachos. I really don't like them, but it's just personal preference. There's nothing wrong with them. I'd prefer an analog needle. It's got a gear indicator, which is just beautiful. It's got a clock, amazing. No temperature gauge, but I guess it's not hugely important, but it would be nice. Let's start her up. It's got a beautiful rumble. You can just imagine those 2 pistons in there firing up and down. Imagine as a gentleman just kind of coughing and your testicles just kind of that's exactly what's going on in there. Listen to this thing. Sounds great. Let's go and give it a ride, shall we? Oh dear. So, first thing I notice about it, good God, it's comfortable to sit on. Oh, the seat is just beautiful. I just want to embrace the seat, man. It's just like having a bunch of greased eunuchs just gently massaging my buttocks. It feels beautiful. I love that. Seating position's much more upright than what I'm used to. And to be perfectly honest, thank you very much. When I dropped my Street Triple off and jumped straight on this, I hated it. I really hated it because it was just so different. Like, the handling characteristics are very different. The weight in this feels quite high, whereas the Street Triple feels quite low. So it's not bad, it's just different. So I felt like at first that the steering in this was lazy and slow. It isn't. It handles really quite surprisingly well. So I'm happy to eat my words on that one, because at first I was like, oh god, this thing's awful, oh, I really don't like it. But now that I've had a little bit more time with it and I'm used to it, listen to this for a second, by the way. Sounds great. But now that I'm a little more used to it, hello buddy, it's really impressed me more and more. I took it through town, do a little bit of slow speed filtering stuff, and below sort of 4,000 RPM, it's really not terribly happy. I mean, if we drop down to about 3,000 now, it's a bit, oh, please drop a gear. So for the very low speed filtering stuff, it's not the best. Above that, beautiful. There's a lot of low down grunt with this engine, a lot of low down grunt, so it pulls from low quite well. So 4,000 RPM, 4th gear, she's off. Really starts to feel like it's pulling its hardest around 6,000 RPM, all the way up to the red line of 10. The low red line is a little odd, I'm not used to that. It's a little shaky. Like, I think it's probably because of the engine configuration. It's very rumbly, a lot of vibration through the foot pegs. Not a big deal. I would forgive it that, because generally this bike is a lot of fun. It impresses me. The more I ride it, the more impressed I am by it. There's a lot of wind buffeting though, more so than the Street Triple, because there's literally nothing here. The Street Triple, I have the fly screen fitted, which actually does a surprisingly good job. Let's get a bit of a feel for the handling. Yeah, it's not bad. It's really not bad. It's a very, very powerful bike. It picks up very quickly. The throttle is really on off though, like really on off. If I just slow down a little here and just show you, if I pull it back as slow as I can, it's very, very snatchy. You can see the bike lurching forward like that. It's not nice. I don't like that. I would forgive it though, and I think the more you get used to it, the better that'll get. But the sound of this bike is amazing. It's definitely a hooligan's machine. I feel like I need to pull over and punch a baby every time I ride this bike. It makes me feel like I'm sticking it to the man. No problem. Instant torque around him like he wasn't even there. It's fantastic. I'm also pleased to be able to say that unlike the MT-09, when you lean on the brakes on this thing, it feels so much more planted. The MT-09 I felt was a little kind of squirrely. It didn't feel planted when you leaned on it heavily, but this is a different story. This is a great little bike. I feel guilty for jumping on it straight away and disliking it. But I think it's just because I wasn't used to it, and it was so different to the Street Triple. It feels very, very different. But it's not a bad bike. It really isn't. It's good fun. It's handling these shitty roads like a boss, like a little champion. Very, very impressive little bike. The gearbox is nice and clunky. I love a clunky gearbox. Just the bang gear. I love that. Don't know which way I want to go. Let's go this way. Oops, shit. I do that a lot actually. That's something worth bringing up. The horn is right here, and the indicator switch is right there. So if you go to cancel, surprisingly easy to punch the horn as well. So a couple of times already I've honked at somebody accidentally and felt like an oaf. Nice corner, nice corner, nice corner. Yeah. Let's give it some beans. Front wheel up in the air. Excellent. The tank is a very weird shape. I think you're going to have a bit of a hard time getting a tank bag on there. Nowhere near as bad as the MT-09. The tank on that is shaped like fuck knows what. The fuel filler, first time I filled it up, because the fuel filler cap is so far forward, I can't, when it's open, you can't see into the hole, right? So I popped the thing open, put the fuel nozzle in, started pumping, and it immediately just came straight up and out in my face. I mean, not literally, it didn't get me in the face, but you know what I mean. It just, boom, just came straight up and erupted everywhere. Because inside and recessed down is a tiny little hole that you need to put the fuel hose, the nose of the fuel nozzle thing into. I didn't know that because I couldn't see it. Once you put it in there, you're fine. But that took me by surprise. And you hear these horror stories of people accidentally setting themselves on fire at petrol stations on motorcycles because the fuel comes over and all your engine and shit is exposed. Well, it's just food for thought, I guess. And I think I have just noticed, speaking of the build quality irks I have, that there's a screw coming out down there. And get this as well. Look at this thing not done up properly. The gap here. Yeah, there's definitely a screw coming out this thing here. I have to get home and play with that a little. I'm not overly surprised. It's quite a vibraty machine, so I guess you can expect that kind of thing. So the MT-07 then. got to admit, I'm very, very impressed with this little bike. I say little, it's not really, it's a 700. But it feels little. It's got quite a narrow profile. It feels extremely light. When you ride it, it feels very light. And due to the nature of the way the front end is put together, the turning circle is immense. When I was filtering through traffic earlier, as somewhat disappointed I was about how slightly uncomfortable the bike feels sort of below 4,000, and how on-off touchy the throttle is, the turning circle is amazing. Filtering through cars like this felt sublime. Does sound fantastic. I could get used to this. As long as you can look over all the shit I mentioned before, which isn't of like the utmost importance, but this material, I'm not mad on it, and the fitment shit and the squeaks and the cheapness of some of this stuff. But ultimately, like I said, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. It's about how it rides, how it performs, and how reliable it is. And my experience so far with this thing has been really good. I've had a blast. I've had an absolute blast. And have a blast is what I shall do. I'm going to take it home now and throw this video together. But yeah. Oh, actually, what have I just seen here? I just don't really understand why the passenger can have like knurled pegs and the rider can't, but let's jump on here real quick. It looks like I collected some grass at some point. Look at that shit. Get out of there, you asshole. Bastard. Oh, actually, maybe it's not. I thought I saw these as grab rails. It kind of looks like a grab rail, but when I had a seat on there just now, I couldn't really reach it, so I'm not entirely sure. But there you have it, people. The Yamaha MT-07. Great bike. For the price, you can't go wrong. Fantastic little machine. I think if you bought one of these, you'd be happy with it. You'd be very, very happy with it. But you will be spray painting stuff, punching babies, stealing whisper bars from your local co-op and all that stuff. Worth it. Worth it. Anyway, take it easy, people. Thanks for watching. As usual, I've been Smo. You guys have been awesome. Peace.